Hey families, so this is another video kind of going over one of the apps that we use in second grade. So the app that I'm going to go over today is called Zearn. So what is this app? This app is and follows our math curriculum, Eureka, and it follows along with it very closely. So what we do in class is what they see on this, and it gives them another source of practice for the skills that we're learning in class. So for their Zearn, when they go into it, each lesson in Zearn has usually 4 parts. You'll usually have a number gym, a sprint, there'll either be a math chat or a lab, is what they kind of call it, and then Tower of Power. So each piece does something different. So the number gym and sprint are to help them work on practicing skills that we've already talked about, practice strategies we've already done, or review facts that might help them with the lesson. So sometimes it's some fact review. Now, the math chat or the learning lab, as it's called, is the area where there's videos, interactive videos where they go through and it talks about what's going on in the lesson. What are you learning in this lesson? What's the big idea? And so in there, sometimes it'll have notes that we will do, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like in an example at the end. So sometimes you'll need notes for these because the students will fill it out and then they'll check their work with the video. And then at the end is the Tower of Power. So the Tower of Power simply is, how well do you know what we taught? So it's giving them problems based on what they should have learned in the math chat or learning lab to see how well did you get it. And I can get alerts from these, like if a kid is struggling, I can get an alert that says, hey, you might want to help them with this skill a little bit better, things like that. So once they finish this Tower of Power, they get what's called a Zearn badge. We like to try to get 2 to 3 badges a week, which means they do at least 3 lessons a week is what we'd like to try for. But sometimes that doesn't always happen, but that's what we like to try to shoot for. So here's what this will look like. So our sprint, we do these in class on paper. This is where you have 1 minute to do as many as you can on a page, see what you get correct, and then try to do better on the next one, but you still only have a minute to solve. Now this math chat, we'll go into that after we go over the sprint. So let's take a look at the sprint, just so y'all can see what it looks like on here. This is the student version, so they have to start. So you have 1 minute, you're gonna answer as many as you can, and you'll say go. And so you're just gonna go through, and you gotta click enter. You can either use the type or use the numbers on the screen if you have like if you have an iPad or things like that. I'm going to purposely get a few wrong just so you can see what it looks like later when we go at the end. So we're just going to go through. I'm trying to do as many as I can in a minute. I'm going to keep doing a few wrong so that way you can see what we're doing. As you can see, it gives me like a little visual timer so I know what's going on. Okay, this is a word version of the same thing. So 10 and 1 make 2 more than 10, 10 and 0, 10 and 3, 10 and 6, and my time's up. So now after I do this, it wants me to check because we got to see what we got correct. So we check our work and it'll go through and tell me what I got right. Oh, so this one was wrong, so it wants me to try again. So I'm like, oh, I should have written this. So I click it and I put the correct answer in. Oh, this one wasn't right, so I have to go through and fix it. That one wasn't right. Then I go through. And so now that I know I got 17, so that's the score I'm trying to beat. I'm trying to beat my own high score is what I tell the kids. You're trying to beat your score. So then it'll have you go through it again. So now I'm just trying to get either the same amount or more than last time. I'm trying to either meet my score or beat my score is the goal here. You're just trying to do as much as you can. as quickly as you can. So 10, 3, 4 more than 10, 4 more than 10, 2 and 10, 1 and 10, 3 more than 10, 10. So these are all 10 plus facts that they want us to practice because it's one of our first ones that we do, and so that's important for us to start out with. So in this case, I actually did all of them, but most kids won't get through all of them because they're still working on that. So if I check these, I can just quickly click enter, or I can click next. So, oh, I got this one wrong. So it is 14. I keep going through. And so this time I got 29. And that's really all this part is. So that's just practice, usually of some facts or some other things. So that was the sprint. So this is what the math chat looks like. So it's going to have a video with someone talking. So he's going to go through and he's just going to talk through the lesson. You can turn on the subtitles so that the words are on the screen as he's talking. So what you're going to do is you're just going to listen to it, and when you reach one of these bubbles, we'll see it in a moment. So he's saying we need a pencil, we need our notes, and we need our headphones. So it's going to do a little reminder, do you have these things? And one of the good things about Zearn is if your student has trouble reading, it has these little sound buttons. It'll read the words to them if they click on it. So that way they don't have to worry so much about deciphering what's being said and focus mainly on the math that they're working on. So in this, I'm going to kind of skip ahead. The students cannot go past the bubble. They might be able to, they technically can skip through this part, not that they know that often, but they cannot skip through bubbles they haven't already done. Sometimes if they stop in the middle of the chat and then they come back to it later, they can skip to the part where they left off. So how many cubes are in total? So we have 5 and 5, which is 10. Because this is we're practicing some 10 stuff. And if I go through, now we're going to go over the number bonds. So it has 5 and 5. Wants us to go through. We're filling this out. We're going to kind of continue. I'm trying to get to the part where you can see it's having us practice that this is the whole, these are the parts. So I can put the parts together to make the whole. But I can also use this to solve subtraction. If I have 10 and I take 5 out of it, there'll still be 5 left over. So it's just reviewing that. So it's having you do another practice problem of making 10 and okay. Now it's going to have me make the number bond, or it's going to have me do the subtraction because we're doing the entire fact family. So it's showing them the relationship between all these different numbers. And then it's going to have me show the number bond. So that way I can see what's the whole. Well, the whole was the total. That was our total. Then we had the parts. We had the 2. And we had the 8. So then, once we get down, now that we've taught it, he wants us to get out our notes, and he wants us to solve the problem and then fill out this. So this is where the kids would pause, they would try their best to solve, and then when they're ready to check their work, they would click next. And then from here, he's going to go through it, so he's going to show them exactly what they're doing. So we're checking our work. So he's saying that, oh, we should have an 18 there. And he's going to go a little bit further. Now he's going to show them the number bond because they're checking their work. Now he wants us to try to fill in the number bond. And now we're going to see what should be there, which should be 18 is our total, our whole. And then these were the 2 parts that made the whole. The parts go together to make the whole. So that is the math chat. The Learning Lab is very similar to this, but it doesn't always require the notes. So it's saying I Zearned it, learned it. And now it wants me to go to the last piece, which is the Tower of Power. So the Tower of Power is where I'm trying to practice what I just learned. So I'm going to try to grow to C. So I have 7 plus 3. So it wants them to solve that. So I solve the problem. It gives me a new problem to try. And if they know that these math facts are related, they can use these to help them solve each other. Because that's what it was trying to show them. It was trying to show them the relationship between all these numbers. Now it wants them to figure out, what is the whole? What are the parts? So it wants me to keep climbing. I'm almost done. Now we have a 10 plus fact. It wants us to practice. Now it wants us to put it into a number bond. So we had the 16 as our total. The 10 was a part. And the 6 was a part. Now I've Zearned it, so I got a badge. Now sometimes there's also a little bonus, but sometimes we don't always get to that. But that's kind of what a typical Zearn lesson will look like. I just wanted to share that with you. Hope y'all have a great day.